Hello everyone, Ta here with another marker pack tutorial video. In this video I'm going to talk about how to export markers, how to edit existing markers, and a little bit about how to properly add attributes to markers. Picking up from our last video, you should have your own marker categories all set up and have your base pack all ready to go. You should be able to pretty much run around and place as many different markers as you want. But at some point you're going to have to extract those markers and get them into your actual pack. It's actually a pretty simple process. There's a couple ways to do it, but I'll show you the way that I like to. For starters, we have these 4 markers here that I've placed. All of your markers are actually going to be kept in your taco folder under this poidata.xml. If we open this up in Notepad++, we will see, like I talked about in the previous video, we have our 4 markers here in the POI element format. We have our map ID, our XYZ position, we have our type, and then we have a GUID for each one that is automatically generated. As you'd expect, all you really have to do to move these onto your pack is copy, go to your pack, in your POIs, we're going to paste, and we're going to save. And now we have these markers saved into our own pack. Now all we have to do is we go back, we can re-zip our pack up now that we have those in the XML, and we can now go to Taco. We're going to have to close Taco for this. Open back our folder up. We're going to replace our own taco here. And then I'm also going to go back and open up that POI data again. And I'm going to go ahead and remove, in fact I'm going to remove everything here, just so that we know that the markers that we're seeing are actually from the pack and not from the XML. With that, we can go ahead and restart Taco. And there we go, we have our markers in our actual pack. If you click on them, you'll see that it is an external marker, which means that we actually cannot edit this. If I try and drag it around, as soon as I exit Taco and restart, you'll see that it's right back where it started. No matter what you do to edit these markers, your changes will not be saved because they are external, which means that they are part of an actual pack and not in that POI data. Taco, because of the way it's set up, can actually only edit markers that are in the POI data. And so if you see this external marker, that means it's not a marker that you can edit. Some important settings regarding that: if you go to the marker editor and you open that up, you'll see these 2 settings here. This is allow selection of external markers, which is what allows you to actually select those markers. This is handy to have on if, for example, I want to see what a category is or something like that, or maybe I want to see the GUID for a marker, but typically I will leave that off. So I would untick it. Now I can't click this. And then there's also another option that is hide all external markers. Now obviously you can't have this turned on if you're trying to use a pack normally, because it'll hide everything from the pack. But if you're editing and you don't want to accidentally try and edit external markers, you can click that and they'll completely disappear. I typically do not have that turned on, just because the fact that I can't click it alone means that I can't edit it, and I'll know right away that that's an external marker. But if we can't edit these, what if I all of a sudden need to change, say, this marker here to a talk? Well, there's a couple ways to do this, and it's really up to you, depending on how much editing you have to do. For one, I could go back, allow selection of external marker. I could look at this, and I could look at the GUID here. Then I would have to open up my pack. I open that up here, and I go to the POIs. I can open this up to the side. This is a TSF. So if you have a bunch of markers, you could, of course, open up Find and Replace and Find Next, and that would take you to wherever that marker is. Or if you just have a few, you can eyeball it like I did, and then it would be as simple as changing this to whatever category you need. So if I wanted to change it to talk, then I would have to do that. I would save it, and then just like normal, we'd go and we would rebuild it. Again, we have to close Taco, open this back up, we can copy our pack, go to POIs, replace it, and then reopen Taco. And now you'll see, instead of the cog there, we have the talk. So that's one way that you can do it. For any small edits, anything you just need to edit one property of one marker or something, that's how I would recommend to do it, because doing it the other way is going to be a lot more work. But say you need to move a bunch of markers around, or whatever it might be, maybe you want to delete some markers, you don't know exactly, you don't want to go to each one and see exactly what the GUID is and look it up individually. The other way to do it would be to do the reverse of what we did to import the markers. So we're going to take and copy these POIs from our XML, and we're going to paste them into POI data. Of course, we need to have this follow the same structure. So since we deleted all this, we're going to have to add these in. And then we need our POIs tag. If you have something here, you can just clear it all out, but since I don't, I have to make it myself. So then we're going to add all of our markers, including ones that we may or may not want to edit. You're going to want to include everything that you got. You're going to copy that from your pack into the POI data, and then you're going to restart Taco. So again, I've got that saved here. We restart Taco. And now, if we click on one of these, you can see we have an edited marker, and we can actually move these around, do whatever we want to them. Maybe I want to delete one. Maybe I want to move this one further that way. And then just like that, we can go back to our POI data. It's going to regenerate all that stuff. We collect all of the POIs, and we replace whatever we had in our pack with those. Now, if we go ahead and we save that, and then build it, and then we of course want to exit Taco. Again, I'm going to go ahead and clear my POI data, just so we know that this is coming from the pack. We copy that, paste it, and then when we reopen Taco, just like before, we're going to see our new changes added. So that's how you can do it if you have a bunch of different markers to add. I definitely recommend doing the GUID way if it's something small. But if you're trying to change position or something of a marker, or you're doing editing of a bunch of markers, it can definitely be handy to just move all of your markers into POI data, work with them in there, and then export it back out again. So that's how you can edit existing markers in your pack. The last thing I want to talk about here is just maybe a little bit of a tangent about marker attributes. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and get our POIs back so that they're editable. So again, I'm just adding those back to the POI data. I'm doing this off screen, so I know you can't see anything. But we're going to do that, and we're going to exit Taco, and then we're going to restart it. So we reload those, and we have them editable now. And you'll probably say, hey Tay, like this whole time, there's all this extra stuff here. You haven't said a word about it. What's up? And the main reason I haven't talked about this is because, while I think that the intention here was good, I think it teaches you bad habits. So what I mean by this is all of these are essentially extra attributes to change the behaviors or appearance of icons. So what I mean by that is, for example, all of these are attributes. And for example, if we look at size, size changes, well, the size of the icon. So if I were to go ahead and change that on this cog to, so in order to change it, I just click that box and I hit 0.75, say, and that shrinks it to 75% of what it was originally. Now, if I open back up our POI data, you'll see we have this extra icon size attribute here. That's 0.75 for this specific marker, which is really neat, but can start to cause problems when, say, you want all of your cogs to be 0.75. And what a lot of people will end up doing is just for every single cog, they'll go and change the size to 0.75. And not only is that a ton of work, but when you then go into here, for every single marker you're doing that for, you're adding another, whatever, 15 characters of text. Which, in the big scheme of things, the size of your pack probably doesn't really matter. But this can be a hassle if, say, later down the road you decide that you want to change every cog icon to a slightly different size. Maybe I want it to 0.5 then. Well, you either have to click on all the icons that are cogs and change them to 0.5, or you'd go in here and you'd probably find and replace 0.75 with 0.5. But either way, there's a lot more to do there if you want to change just the icon size for one set of icons. So the proper way to do this would be on the category level, which, to be fair, you can do in Taco if you click this select category to edit, and then you click on, for our example, would be the interact, and then you click size. You could change this to 0.5. And now every icon, or every interact icon is 0.5 because the category is. However, now if you want to go and, get that change and you want to put it into your pack, you have to go and find the marker category that it changed and copy that over and replace whatever's in your pack. What you could instead do is say, okay, I want to change the cogs in my pack to 0.75. You go and you look up whatever the icon attribute is. So this one, or the size attribute is, so that's iconSize. And then you add that to your cog in your pack already. And this is what I would consider the proper way to add attributes to markers. So if you have an attribute that you want to be marker wide, you would obviously set that preferably on the marker level. If you have something that maybe you want for all of your markers, you could do that on the subcategory level here for markers. For say I wanted fade near equals 3000. This is something I commonly do. Fade far equals 3500. Fade near, fade far is the fade distance. So fade near is when the marker starts to fade, and fade far is when the marker completely fades off of the player's screen. So if I want all of my markers to fade at the same distance, I would do something like this on the marker level, and that way everything within this category is going to have that fade near, fade far. Again, you can do this in Taco, and this isn't exactly why I think that teaches you bad habits. I think mostly it's the individual marker editing that I think teaches you bad habits. Of course, there is some things that have to be done on an individual marker level, but I think most of the appearance stuff, visibility, even a lot of behavior stuff can probably be done on the category level, and a lot of people will overlook the select category to edit button and just think that they have to do it all on the marker level, and that's going to cause them a lot of extra work and a lot of unnecessary headache down the line if you need to change things. Some stuff, of course, does need to be done on the marker level, stuff like info text, copied text, anything that obviously you don't want repeated over every single marker. But for the most part, most of the appearance stuff at least, and some of the behavior visibility stuff, all can be done on the actual marker categories here, and it'll save you a lot of time over having to do it on every single thing. So definitely make use of marker categories as far as attributes go. I'm not going to go over attributes in super detail here. I'm not going to break down each individual one and talk about what they do in any videos or anything, because there's just way too much to cover, and most of it's probably not even going to be relevant to you. So I would just recommend, I have this link here to the BHUD docs for attributes. It has a list of every single attribute that you can use. Some of them are BHUD specific, most of them, I would say, work for both BHUD and Taco, and I would definitely give that a look. Check out all the different things that you can do, all the different attributes. But honestly, for the most part, you can get away with just doing some simple like icon size, fade near, fade far, probably like minimap size stuff, whether you want it visible on the minimap or not, all that sort of thing. Just play around with it, see what you like. Feel free to take a look at other marker packs and see what kind of settings that they use for their stuff. And then just go wild and try out different things. See if you can figure out how everything works. The best way to learn is just to get out there and start playing around with stuff. That'll do it for this video. In the next video, we'll talk about recording trails and the different tools that you can use to record trails. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or join either of the Discords linked in the description below. Thanks for watching and happy trails.